Hello and welcome to Video Game Hangover. I'm Randy Dickinson and I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Hello, I'm DJ Ross. I'm in Mountain View, California.
On every episode of Video Game Hangover, we talk about the games that have been keeping us up at night. This week we're playing Death Stranding 2 and Ruffy and the Riverside.
Yeah, my two favorite Hideo Kojima games.
Yeah. Plus, I have a fairly deep obsession with Mario Kart World that
Oh my god, this game
does not seem to be willing to let me go.
What are you doing in Mario Kart World at this point?
Unlocking everything.
Everything. Okay. Well,
like obsessively, okay. Like Animal Crossing level of obsession. Like I have notes in my phone with lists of unlocks and places where I can get them.
Wait,
yeah.
What? Like, what is there in the game that necessitates having a list?
Well, mirror mode. To get mirror mode, you have to do like a checklist of a bunch of things.
You do?
You do. Yeah. You've got to place at least in every race, which is easy.
Okay.
But then in free mode, you have to find 10 P-switches and complete the challenges associated with them. You have to collect 10 Princess Peach coins, which are hidden in very hard to find places.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it. And then you have to run Rainbow Road again. Sit through the credits, and then you get a little cutscene, a little movie of Mario and Luigi finding a reversed mirror and turning it into... I hope this isn't a spoiler for anybody. And turning it into mirror mode.
They added lore to mirror mode. That's wild.
Which then unlocks an additional 150cc race of all the courses in reverse. Well, not reverse, mirror mode. So it's not... You don't race them backwards. Just left turns are now right turns.
Yeah.
So it gives you, 15 more races to run that are kind of fun. And
so that means the whole world is reversed.
Well, it's mirrored, yeah.
Yeah, mirrored, whatever they're calling it. Does that mean you can drive around in free roam mirror world?
No, mirror does not exist in free roam that I'm aware of. It's only in the races. Yeah.
How are you going to practice all your weird tricks in mirror mode then?
Well, I've been practicing all my weird tricks as well and looking for shortcuts in every map. I've been trying to get every cart. I got every cart. That's just money. That's easy. You have to collect enough coins to get every cart. It's like 40 something carts. It's a lot.
I saw somebody who had determined like the whatever the number is for once you have this many coins, once you've collected this many coins in your races, you will have unlocked all the carts.
Right.
And they figured out, there's this car that just like, or it's not a car, but there's like a factory, like a coin factory or something that just spits out coins on a conveyor belt. Does that ring a bell?
That's, Toad's Factory. Yeah.
Yeah. And they said, okay, just, park yourself here. And like 6 hours later, you will have enough coins. Like, this is ridiculous.
Now it's an idle game. No, that's just cheating.
How's that cheating? I mean, that's just, however you decide to spend your time.
Sure. Just race. Just run the races.
Just race.
Just play against the computer.
Yeah.
That's all I did. I certainly did not sit and farm coins in the factory. Occasionally, there's a couple of routes in the game where you get stretches of highway, and there will occasionally be little cars that will drive by, and they'll spit coins out of the back of them. And you can shadow those and collect like 15 coins in one shot.
They mentioned that too. They said if you do that method, you only have to follow it for like an hour. So,
oh my god,
if that is preferable to leaving your Switch hanging out for half a day versus running all the actual races, why you got the game in the first place, then you could do that.
Find it in find the little card that spits out coins in free mode and follow it around.
Yeah, just I guess you'd have to do it in free mode, otherwise the race would just be over.
Right, I've encountered it in races, but I mean, it takes 20 coins for you to get the speed boost in every race, anyways. And like my first objective is to try to get as many coins as possible because you get a nice little rev out of it. So
right.
I'm always trying to get up to 20 and to stay at 20 because anytime you get bumped or shelled or any of the other crap, you lose a bunch of coins. So yeah, I think it's super easy to get to 20 coins. I don't know why anybody would try to farm it unless you really don't enjoy racing in Mario Kart. In
Some
which case,
people
why
just
did
want to get all those carts.
spend $90 on this. Yeah, so I got all the carts. I've unlocked every good guy character, and all of the costumes associated with them. I have not unlocked all the NPCs yet because some of them are really hard. There's all the baddies in the game. There's a couple of them that really only unlock if you get transformed into them by Kamek during the course of a race.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be difficult to grind out, I guess.
Yeah, you can't because it's really situational, and you can't be the one who gets it. So you can't get is it Kamek? Who's the other guy?
Yeah, no, that's the Magic Koopa guy.
The little wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But he's a Magic Koopa. He's not a wizard. Come on.
Well, he's got a wizard hat.
Okay. Well,
they don't just hand out hats to anybody. You've got to be a wizard to get the hat, DJ.
He went to the Magic Koopa Academy. Don't call him a wizard.
And they checked his credentials before he came in the door. And they gave him a hat. So, but anyways, he's a pickup now. He's a weapon essentially in the game. And you get him from the little item boxes. And when you deploy him, it turns everybody ahead of you in the race into some alternate character, and usually slows them down briefly. So you can't be the one who gets that. Somebody else has to get it, and then you have to be trapped by it or hit by it to turn you into these characters. And they're very situational. Like you have to be going through, I'm trying to unlock Fishbone right now, which is the skeleton fish.
Oh, I want Fishbone.
Me too, desperately. And you have to be racing through Dry Bones Burnout or whatever it's called, which is like the inside of the volcano, which is like a segment of a race that is over in 30 seconds. So I have run that race so many times waiting for somebody to turn me into Fishbone, and it's just not happening. And there's 2 or 3. Like I'm just a hair away from getting all of the NPCs. But the only way you can get them is to get turned into them during the course of a race, and the likelihood of that happening is very slim. So
this is so good.
Yeah. So that's my list. Those are the lists I have. Yeah. And just trying to, also trying to make sure I get gold in every race, and just sort of personal achievements and things like that. So,
yeah. All right. Okay. There's more going on there than I was expecting.
But, yeah, I just looked at my metrics. I am 50 something hours into this game.
And a lot of hours for Mario Kart.
It's insane. It came out a month ago. I have a full-time job. Like, I don't know, when am I playing this much? So all the times I'm like, no, I can't play that. I couldn't possibly finish a Persona game or whatever the new hotness RPG is, because I don't have time. That's bullshit.
I mean, I think we all knew that.
Yeah, clearly I have time. I just don't want to play RPGs.
And I put 50 hours into Death Stranding in 24 hours. That's
my
crazy
God.
That game is.
That's not, you just like slipped the surly bonds of time and space.
Yes, yeah. This happens in that game.
Yeah. So this is my bi-weekly Mario Kart World check-in. I'm totally obsessed with it.
Nice.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so fun. I love it.
I really want to get, like, if I had a list, it would just be probably getting the rest of the NPC characters. I want Fishbone, and there's like an ostrich or something. A bunch of weird characters I don't have yet. But I think you explained the Kamek situation to me the last time we were recording. And I was like, oh man, yeah, that's going to be tough. You could could you have a friend just hang out with you in free roam and just item box each other over and over?
Yeah, I have read a couple of things on Reddit where it's like, go into co-op with a buddy and have them park here and then do this thing. And I'm like, well, again, cheating. I'm not above it, and I might get to that point, but I'm like, I also like running races in Mario Kart, so I'll just keep running them until I unlock the thing that I want.
I take issue with your use of cheating to describe some of these methods. Cheating for me would be like using a Game Genie or something.
Yeah.
But these people have just found a more efficient way that is maybe less enjoyable to some people.
Yeah. Well, it's hard for a reason. It's meant to feel like an accomplishment.
Is it?
I think so.
Is it an accomplishment that you've unlocked this thing? Or it sounds like something that just happens after a while.
It's an exciting thing.
Listen, it's an exciting thing.
The 400th time I've run Dry Bones Valley or whatever the hell it's called, and I finally unlock it, there's going to be a party, TJ. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel earned if I like go into co-op mode with a buddy and have him park in this one specific place, and like that's cheating.
All right,
it's a shortcut. I guess it's a shortcut. It's not a short.
Yeah,
it's not a shortcut.
I'm okay with that.
The way that you would associate a shortcut being in Mario Kart, but it's for me, it's like time travel in Animal Crossing. That's not. Some people want to play the game that way, but that's not the experience I want to have with Mario Kart or Animal Crossing for that matter.
Yeah, I don't even know if I consider time traveling cheating.
Oh, I totally do.
I mean, I kind of frown upon it, but like that's their decision.
Yeah.
Cheating is like, back in the day on the GameFAQs Animal Crossing, I just almost forgot the name of that game for a second. The Animal Crossing Wild World forums, there would be people who would just like generate items using their little game enhancer things. I was like, don't know about that. That's not cool. But like, time traveling, that's something you can do.
Yeah, I don't do it. I've never done it.
Yeah. I was going to say, man, thinking of the just two players hitting each other with item boxes over and over sounds like you just have like the MMO brain at that point. But on the other hand, running the same like Dry Bones chorus 100 times until the random chance that you get transformed into this one specific character also sounds like an extremely MMO thing to do. So now I don't know which one is preferable.
No, it does. It feels a little bit like a mental illness. I get it.
I mean, same thing. Different ways to describe that.
And the thing is, and I will stop talking about Mario Kart World for the sake of our listeners. You can't just pick like the one course you want to do, because at the Grand Prix, all the courses, it's like 5 or 6 courses kind of threaded together. It's not that many, 4 or 5 courses threaded together. So you have to like run the collection of courses in the Grand Prix in the whatever, the Leaf Cup or the Banana Cup or whatever, to get to the one little segment of course that has the potential for unlocking Fishbone.
Is it the first course out of the 4, or is it like the 4th one?
It's like the 4th out of the 5, I think.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
It'd be much better if it was the first one, because if you don't get it, you could just restart.
I know exactly when it's coming, and I tell you, I get so excited because I'm usually like, I'm pretty good at it at this point. I get schooled online, but like as I'm racing against the NPCs in the 150cc races at this point, I can hold my own. I'm usually generally like 2nd or 3rd place up to this point, and like I start to feel like the hairs on my arms start to stand up as I know I'm getting closer to Dry Bone Valley. And I'm like, it's going to happen. This is the time. This is the one it's going to happen. And then it doesn't, because it's over in like 40 seconds and I'm already past it. And I'm into Happy Valley or whatever the thing is that comes afterwards. And yeah, it's someday it'll be exciting.
You're not just like, you get to that point in the course and you just like sandbag it and park yourself on the track until everybody goes over the item boxes.
Like, come get me! Come and get me!
Yeah.
No, because you have to be ahead for Kamek to...
Kamek
doesn't transform the people behind him. He transforms the people ahead of him.
Yeah, well, they thought of everything.
So you have to be winning. Yeah. Yeah.
That's tough, man. I'll just never get Fishbone.
It's a thing. It's definitely a thing.
Maybe not until they release him as paid DLC in 2 years from now.
That's cheating.
All right, that's just another method.
But anyways, yeah. So lots of Mario Kart World, and in between Mario Kart World sessions, Ruffy and the Riverside, which we'll get to eventually.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We should talk about our next stream coming up on Monday, July 14th, correct? July 14th.
Oh, yeah, that should say July 14th.
Yep. We are going to play Peak. Have you heard of this game? I know you've heard of this game, DJ, but
I've heard of it.
For our listeners, have you heard of this game? This is a co-op mountain climbing game, procedurally generated. It's a different mountain every day, I believe. And you have to really kind of work with your friends to be able to get to the top of this thing. It does seem to have a bit of what's the game you compared it to? Content warning and
content warning, Lethal Company. It's the latest sort of like well, I don't know how you would classify the things. I saw somebody doing a really good job. It was just like sort of like online, like TikTok content generation where you play this game and you end up with these ridiculous sort of like spontaneous clips of people getting, like, in the case of content warning, getting killed in horrific ways by weird monsters. Or in this one, you're like falling off of the side of a mountain or something like that.
Yeah. So this is not a horror game. So if content warning is too scary for you, I don't think this is anywhere near that.
No, it's very cute, it looks like.
Yeah. But the scariness comes from hopefully scrambling up the side of a mountain and getting to the top with your friend's help.
Yeah.
And Steam does say something about one little slip up and it's all over. So I suspect there will be a lot of footage of DJ and I falling off of mountains.
I hope so.
Exactly. It'd be really disappointing if it wasn't.
Yeah, we just made it to the top in one try.
Yeah. Womp womp. So Monday, July 14th, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, go to twitch.tv/VGHangover to tune in and watch. We'd love for you to cheer us on and chat with us while we're playing Peak. Yeah, you should also go to our Discord. We'll have a little event set up there and make sure we announce it before we go live.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Hey, Ben, what games are you obsessed with lately? What have you been playing?
Well, yeah, you know what I've been playing.
50 hours of Death Stranding in 24 hours.
I haven't looked at my game clock for Death Stranding. But every time you finish a delivery or a mission in that game, it tells you how long it took since you accepted the mission. And at the start, every single time it was like 45 minutes. So it's like, wow, this is surprisingly consistent. Also, that took much longer than I was expecting. So I'm a little worried to look at the game clock at this point. I suspect it's probably getting up there. Maybe not quite 50 hours yet. But before I get into that, I had a little homework assignment from last time. We were talking about GameCube games. And what GameCube games we wanted to have show up on the Switch 2 GameCube app. So
fun. I forgot we had homework, so I didn't do mine.
Well, no, I took it upon myself. It was my homework because you were the one asking.
Yeah.
So I went through the list. There's a list. So another thing I found out is there are roughly like 600 GameCube games that came out like ever. Ooh. Which sounds like a lot, but then you start scrolling through the list and it's like every version of like FIFA or NBA, whatever the NBA series on GameCube was. And then when you start whittling it down to stuff that I would actually want to play, it's not an especially long list. And I feel like we sort of discussed this after we recorded the last episode. It was like, GameCube was not exactly, it wasn't the PS2 in terms of just a wealth of games to play. And I think, part of that is maybe why the GameCube was not super successful. But it ended up being a much shorter list than I was expecting. Especially if you limit it to first-party games, which I'm not sure what the practice is going to be. But
yeah.
I think the biggest ones... So first of all, the stuff in my actual GameCube backlog that I haven't played, that I would still like to, are Metroid Prime 2, Super Mario Sunshine, which I think I had declared that I was just... I had made enough attempts on this game and didn't care for it that I'm sort of given up. That's enough Mario Sunshine for this life.
This conversation came up on our Discord, sorry for the detour, fairly recently. It's Mario. I think we were talking Mario 3D games. And it has occurred to me that I don't think I've ever played Sunshine, but it's part of that Mario 3D collection that came out 2 years ago, I think.
Yes.
So that might be fun to revisit. I definitely have a hankering right now for a 3D Mario game. Maybe Donkey Kong Bonanza will scratch that itch, but that might also be a fun thing to revisit.
Yeah, it might be.
Maybe not from your perspective, having multiple aborted attempts at playing it, but
I just never really gotten into it. So this is the last chance, I think. So third time's the charm, or just 3 strikes you're out. One of those two.
Yep.
I was like, okay, if I play it this time, I've got the little GameCube controller thing. If it's not good with the controller, then you just nothing could be done. So
it wasn't meant to be, correct.
I will give it one more chance. And then the last physical game that I actually have for the GameCube is Eternal Darkness, which may end up being like a backlog attack game this year. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be a good Halloween game.
Yeah. I think that is... I don't know if that's technically first-party Nintendo, though, so I don't know if that excludes it from what could show up on the app. But, so the first-party stuff that I would like to see on the app, I think the biggest out of the whole list is the GameCube Animal Crossing, because I never played that.
Totally. Yeah, I've never played that either. And yeah, just as an oddity, I think that would be fun to check out.
Yeah. I don't imagine I would spend hundreds of hours playing it.
No.
But it's, from what I hear, there's stuff about it that is quite different from even the next Animal Crossing in the series to come out. So I'd really like to try that.
Is that the version of Animal Crossing where you could get the little game consoles to play inside your house that had old Nintendo games on them?
It is. It is.
Cool.
And that's I don't know how that would work in... I don't know how it worked at all, but I from what I remember, at one point you would plug in your Game Boy Advance, because they had that adapter where you could plug in your Game Boy to your GameCube. And I think you played them on there. I don't know if that was required for it, but... There are actually a few games on the list, like the Zelda Four Swords and Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, that also use that. And I imagine, unless they come up with something really clever for getting around that Game Boy Advance workaround, those might not end up being playable.
Huh.
I mean, I think there was a mode, you could play them single player, just on the screen if you didn't have Game Boy Advance, but, what's the point of that? I want to play with 3 other people.
Yeah. So Four Swords required you and 3 friends to all have your own Game Boy and then plug it into your GameCube?
Yeah.
Wow, that's ambitious.
Yeah, it was tough to wrangle, especially as a starving college student.
Right.
But anyway, so Animal Crossing, that's the big one. The rest of the stuff, I think they've already announced that Chibi Robo will be making its way on there. I never played that. Luigi's Mansion, Mario Golf. Mario sports games generally pretty well regarded, so I'd like to play Mario Golf.
Sure.
Star Fox Assault was the Star Fox game I was thinking of, not Star Fox Adventures, which is like a 3D platform action adventure game. But Star Fox Assault is the one that's closest to, I guess, a traditional Star Fox game. Also not especially well regarded, but if it's going to be on the app, I will, might as well.
Why would you not?
And then there are a few other weird ones, like Odama, which is like a sort of, I want to say it's like a pinball game, but it's like pinball from the perspective of you're like a tiny soldier on a battlefield, and there's like a giant pinball rolling around. I don't know exactly what's going on. It's one of those weird, I forget the creator. He made that. I believe he made the Dreamcast game with the talking fish. But if that shows up, that would be cool. And then
Psycho.
Ute Saito. There you go.
There you go.
That's a good pull.
No, that's Google. I truly don't have that in my head.
Okay. It's like, wow, I was impressed. And then this is probably not going to happen because I don't think this came out outside of Japan, where there was this game called Gift Pia, which sounds like kind of a life sim game. From what I understand, your character takes on a massive amount of debt very early on, and then you have to spend the rest of the game paying it off and doing random jobs and stuff like that. But yeah, that was about it. So six or seven games, several of them which may not even have a chance of showing up on the app, depending on what their sort of inclusion rules are going to be. So we will see.
Yeah. I think they have announced the Mario Strikers, right? And
they did, yeah.
Yeah. And I think Chibi Robo, I think, was part of that too. But not a ton that I've heard anyways, at least announced sort of in the pipeline. So I'm sure someone is feverishly trying to get all the rights to all the games.
Yeah. They did somebody, oh no, this is a whole other thing. Somebody was or one of the Nintendo Reddits was trying to decipher a trailer for like the N64 app, because they determined that one of the blurry backgrounds that they showed during the trailer was may have been actual Nintendo 64 box art. That were like, well, so if you unblur this, doesn't it look sort of like this game? And I was like, all right, guys.
They doing the old X-Files, enhance that section right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think like a couple of the games they were guessing it may not have been first party, but who knows? We'll see.
Interesting.
But yeah, the GameCube, not necessarily just the endless font of games that I was expecting, or as I remembered it being.
Yeah. I just Googled GameCube hidden gems, and it's mostly the games you just said. So
yeah. Okay, well, I'm on the right track at least.
Odama definitely made it to the top of the list there.
Nice.
Yep. Barack Odama.
Yeah, so I was like, is that the right name? Odama? I guess so.
Yep.
They've already got F-Zero and Soul Calibur too, so I should be good for a while.
You're held over. Yeah, you could tie it up. Yep. I've never played or heard of this game where you're a fish with a human head, and now I'm a little angry that you put this in my brain.
No, I mean, well, that's something you can look into after. That looked like a weird one.
Yeah, a little odd.
Yeah, had I think a microphone controller so you could talk to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing your homework.
Well, I mean, part of it was just out of my own curiosity. I was like, I forgot what GameCube games existed. So I think like half of the stuff I had ended up just being like third-party stuff, like Resident Evil 4. And whatever else. A lot of Capcom stuff. Or like 1 or 2 Capcom games should calm down a little bit.
Tell me about Death Stranding 2.
So Death Stranding 2 came out, and man, where does it even begin? I'm kind of surprised actually that like how similar it is to Death Stranding 1. Like you end up just doing a lot of deliveries, which is good because that's what I liked about Death Stranding 1.
That's what you want though, right?
Yeah. But I'm just like, so far there's not been just like the game upending twist. Like gameplay wise or story wise. And yeah, I don't know how far into the campaign I am. I'm on like chapter 3. So maybe there's something crazy that happens a few more chapters in. Because I think that's sort of how it was with Death Stranding 1. Like the first 3 chapters felt sort of like just getting you set up and used to doing your job as a porter. So who knows? But yeah, it's Death Stranding 2. It's another Kojima game. I was so excited to play this. I was so excited to stream it last week because I really enjoyed Death Stranding 1. And as I was trying to get across, I don't know how successful it was. I feel like Kojima games are kind of an event. Like he's a weird guy, but he just has like some of the wackiest ideas in game design. And that's not, I mean, he's got wacky ideas about how to write a story for a video game too. But
right,
all of his games, or at least most of his games, have always been just so unique and have had so many interesting sort of like gameplay ideas. Like the fact that he was able to turn essentially just walking across the map and doing deliveries into something that was just so engaging and just weirdly compelling in Death Stranding 1 is an accomplishment. And I was just like, okay, so hopefully this will be a fun thing to put on the stream. And then I remembered that a lot of it is just these like endless cutscenes and the story is just completely nonsensical, and that has not changed since the first one. So the stream essentially started out with like a 45-minute cutscene of Sam, played by what's his name, Norman Reedus, talking to one of the other characters. So that was cool. Just watch the long cutscene, and then when you get to the actual gameplay, which I enjoy actually doing, it's just a guy walking. So I was like, okay, well, I don't know how well this is playing on the stream if people are just like, oh yeah, look at him go. Just walking along a
Walking
mountain
the hell
ridge.
out of this game.
Yeah. Which was very nice. I really enjoyed just the opening walk you do, because it's the game opens and he's on like the top of this mountain and the sun's up in the sky, and it's just like this amazing vista you can see for like miles around. And you just do this kind of walk back to your shelter while like the opening sort of track plays, and you can pan the camera around and take a look at the landscape. And it's an amazing moment in the game. It's like kind of meditative because you're just going on a hike essentially. But it's like, okay, I hope people are as into this as I am, because he is really just like trying not to fall off this mountain.
Who gets the opening track? Can I ask what, if I remember correctly, in the first game, it was Churches, I think, was a song I really like. Is there some other like pop song that they put in as the opening?
Oh yeah, no, I don't remember who it was.
You know who it is, yeah.
It didn't make a huge impression. It was kind of in the same vein as a lot of the tracks he used in the first one. It was not Churches this time around, but you might be into it if you're into the soundtrack in the first one.
I'll have to look it up.
Okay, so there was another reason I wanted to play this on the stream, actually, and this is, I don't know how much you know about Metal Gear Solid 2.
Oh, so much.
So much, yeah. That's what I figured. You're always talking about it. When Metal Gear Solid 2 came out, everybody was like super hyped for it because Metal Gear Solid 1 was such a hit. And Kojima had been doing like the whole press tour thing, because he loves doing his press tours and just leaking out these screenshots. And based on all the press he was doing, the game looked incredible. It just looked like, bigger, shinier Metal Gear. It was on the PlayStation 2, so it was just like the next generation video game. And it was going to be like this incredible evolution of Metal Gear. There were all these screens with like Solid Snake sneaking his way around this big tanker ship. And just doing the sort of stuff that you expect to do in a Metal Gear game. And so everybody's super hyped for it. The game comes out, and sure enough, you get to play as Solid Snake, and you get to do a bunch of stuff in this tanker. And then, like, a few hours into it, the whole, like, plot around the tanker ramps up, essentially. And it shuttles you off to this other section of the game that takes place in a completely different location that they didn't show in any of the previews. Or if they did show it, it was sort of obfuscated, so it just looked like more of the tanker section. And on top of that, you're not playing as Solid Snake anymore. You're playing as this brand new character who is just like the polar opposite of Solid Snake. He's like this kind of like young rookie, not like secret agent, but like stealth operative. And it was very surprising because somehow none of this had leaked out beforehand. Like, this was a complete surprise to everybody playing this game. And people were very upset about it. And to this day, it remains like one of the most, or like maybe the most shocking thing that Kojima has done in any of his games. Just the name of this character is Raiden. So the Raiden reveal in Metal Gear Solid 2, the fact that you're not playing the majority of the game as Solid Snake, was just this huge moment for him. And I think about that a lot, especially whenever, he hasn't released a lot of sequels like that. Because, like, Death Stranding 1 was a new sort of property for him. It's not another Metal Gear sequel or spinoff. So I was thinking, like, okay, so he's released this new thing. He's got a sequel coming out. Is there going to be another, like, Raiden moment where he just pulls the rug out from under everybody again? Is that even possible to do in 2025 with, just like leaks everywhere? The, social media and the internet is just like, you can't hide from it. I feel like if he attempted to do something like this, we would get some wind of it beforehand. And I remember even thinking, like, okay, it seems unlikely that he would be able to pull this off, at least on the same level that he did with Metal Gear Solid 2. But if there's even the chance, the remote possibility that he does do something like this again, I want to be there when it happens. I want to be like part of the group that is just completely shocked by whatever happens. And then so far it's not happened. So
Oh, okay.
It's like, okay. Oh, I'm just waiting for it. I'm like, where is it?
I mean, it seems very un-Kojima to just do a more of the same sequel. Like, I think I expect him to be a little more of a disruptor.
I still expect for there to be some big twist. Like, maybe not a Metal Gear Solid 2 level. But, yeah, I'm just like, where is the big spin on everything?
Yeah.
Up to this point, it's felt very similar to Death Stranding 1. I'm not sure if this is a spoiler or not, because I wasn't really following the game a lot leading up to launch, so sorry if this is spoiler. I think it's like, I think people knew about this, but you spend a lot of the early game, or you spend some of the early game in Mexico doing deliveries, because you're extending the network from Death Stranding 1 from the US, or the former US, into Mexico, and hopefully eventually into South America. But then after just a few hours, you end up in Australia, and you start doing deliveries there, and it feels like that is where the bulk of the game is going to take place. And that was a surprise to me. So I was like, oh man, Australia. I didn't even realize that, like, first of all, I didn't know we were going to be in Mexico starting off, and now we're in Australia. Like, who knows where else this could go? But I feel like people knew about that. So I'm like, okay, that's not the big twist, I don't think. So I'm still waiting.
Huh. Yeah. I mean, for the back half of the game, maybe you're Raiden just delivering packages.
I hope so. I'm just like, where is he? Where is Raiden?
It's the lightning guy, right? Is that the guy?
He's the lightning guy. Yeah, he's the guy. He eventually turns into that robot ninja in Revengeance.
Revengeance. Okay, I knew the name from somewhere.
Yeah. I don't think he has the rights to that character anymore, so it's unlikely that he would show up in this. But maybe there'll be a guy who looks a lot like him. I don't know. Anyway, it's a very familiar experience, which is weird. You do just spend a lot of time taking packages from one point to another. Sometimes there are weird spooky ghosts along the route, which I'm still not really a fan of. But it also feels like they have really toned down sort of the combat and stealth difficulty in this.
Oh.
I'm playing it on the normal difficulty setting, which is just the default. And yeah, I'm still fairly early in the game, but it already feels like it's much easier to deal with anything in your way than it was in Death Stranding 1. Like, you end up doing a lot of stealth. Sometimes you have to infiltrate a facility where they're like the enemy porters are just hanging out and trying to get in your way. They're like stealing cargo from people. So you have to sneak up on them like Solid Snake. But on the occasions where you do get spotted, it gives you such a long window. Everything goes into like sort of bullet time, slow motion, where the NPC who just noticed you is slowly turning around, and you just have so much time to react and like shoot them with your gun or take them out with the little rope tool you have. It feels very generous. It feels very much like, okay, so he's acknowledging that you are not Solid Snake or, a military operative in this. You're just some guy doing deliveries. So you do get a little extra like wiggle room to avoid combat. Which is good, because that was something I didn't really love about the first one. I was really like, I just want to do deliveries. I don't want people to get in my way. I don't want to deal with all these ghosts. It's weird.
Cool. I mean, but you sound underwhelmed.
Do I sound underwhelmed? Maybe I am. I mean, like I said, it's not, so far it hasn't been a revolutionary sequel.
Yeah. It feels like there should be some escalation, right?
Yeah. It feels like maybe I just haven't run into that yet.
Yeah.
The big thing that seems, or like potentially the big new thing that they've added is there's like, I want to say there was definitely weather in the first one, but now there are occasionally earthquakes, which seem like they can deform the terrain, or at least like make changes to wherever you're trying to deliver. If there's heavy rain, like rivers can overflow and flood. So maybe a structure that you built, like you can drop ladders across these rivers to have kind of a makeshift bridge. Like those might not work anymore. You may have to find alternate routes around. But even with that, like I've encountered that a couple times and it hasn't really been a huge factor. Sometimes it'll be raining and I'll get an alert that's like, oh, this river is flooding. And I'll look at the map and it's like not even anywhere close to where I'm trying to go. So I'm like, all right, I'll keep that in mind.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh. Well,
so
maybe it's a late bloomer. I recall having a conversation with you about Death Stranding 1. And maybe it was you or it was something we had read online where it was sort of like the first 10 hours are real rough. And then the back half of the game is really good. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to sit through 10 hours of a rough Hideo Kojima experience to wait for the game.
You should do it.
So I don't have the patience or interest for that. So maybe this is just similar to that. Maybe this is just a late bloomer. Are you more than 10 hours in?
Oh, probably. I think like in the first one, definitely as they kept introducing stuff to you, the latter half of the game is definitely much more interesting than the first half. Because in the first one, you spend the opening hours just on foot. And maybe you can find a bike or something, or like a motorbike, not like a bicycle. But after you get out of the first zone, or like the first couple of zones maybe, then you start building like highways and zip lines, and you get these little robotic like cargo delivery things. It really opens up the possibilities of just how you deliver packages. So that has already it's escalated a little faster in this one already. Like you get the bike pretty quickly. I'm already building freeways. There's a new method of transport that I don't want to give away because maybe that's a spoiler. But I was like, okay, maybe this is going somewhere. A lot of it just feels like it's a refinement of the first game, though. So they've made a lot of, they made the combat much easier or much more tolerable. There are new, mining facilities that you can use, which make it easier to procure resources that you use to build structures. So that's cool. But beyond that, it really does feel like, oh yeah, I'm just doing a lot of the stuff that I did in Death Stranding 1. Which again is cool because I got really into just the delivery logistics and having to plot a route, and that stuff was all just inexplicably engaging. But so far I haven't run into the thing that's like, okay, now this is a complete game changer.
Well, maybe that's like the takeaway from Death Stranding 1 is that the walking around the package delivery aspect of that game was the surprise kind of air quotes here best part of the game. And certainly nobody knew that going into making that game. But in the course of learning that, they were able to tune Death Stranding 2 to be more of that. So maybe it is a reaction to the reception of the first game.
I feel like they had to know that was the core of the game, though. At least, especially with the first one, because it's not like something they just stumbled onto by accident, because everything was in service of that.
Yeah,
maybe that didn't come across to everybody outside of the development team, because they were just thinking oh, a new Kojima game could have a weird story, and for some reason you're a delivery guy. But then there are all these other sections oh, yeah, you're sneaking up on guys and fighting big bosses and stuff like that. So that's all sort of typical Kojima stuff. But I can't really remember what my impression of the the delivery side of things was before actually playing the first one, because you would see the screens of Norman Reedus with 10 different packages piled up on his back, and just okay, this looks a little silly. Is this the game? That's kind of weird.
I remember that initial marketing for the first game being some of that, obviously, but also just really sort of steering into the kind of weird, trippy, baby fetus thing and all the other crazy stuff going on. And it's sort of look how weird this game is. And then I'm being reductive here, obviously. And then it's just you walking around delivering packages. So I do feel like the marketing for that initial game did not necessarily sort of betray what the game actually was. And maybe that's a Kojima thing too, right? I mean, he likes to play his cards a little close sometimes, maybe.
He definitely does, yeah. Well, I feel like it's been 50-50, or I feel like a lot of the previews were just the weird story stuff, like all the famous actors that he's shoehorning into the game.
Right.
All the weird cutscenes that are just like, what did I just watch? And that sort of stuff. And that is just, I mean, it's still, it's how it was in the first game. If you weren't into just how weird the story was and sort of how nonsensical everything was, this is not going to change your mind. If anything, it's like, maybe that's the escalation, for everything is just like twice as weird for really no reason. Like you still got the weird, interdimensional baby or whatever. There are a whole bunch of NPCs who just, nobody in this game feels like a real person. They're just some weird, talking PowerPoint that is explaining the backstory of the game to you. And this is the wildest thing, and I think this was true of the first game as well, but there are so many conversations, quote unquote conversations between Sam and another character, where it's just the other character monologuing at him for the entire cutscene, and he just never says anything. And it's this is just the weirdest. And that would happen, there were very long-winded conversations in all the Metal Gear games, but I feel like, at least earlier on, Solid Snake would get a word in here or there, because he would, he'd be trying to keep up on the mission status. But no, in this one, you run into these NPCs, and they just kind of talk to you forever.
That sounds unpleasant.
Yeah, it's been tough not just skipping through all of it. I'm pretty sure I won't come away from this being oh yeah, the story in Death Stranding 2. Everybody's got to check it out. I really didn't care for the plot in Death Stranding 1 by the end of it, but I still just can't bring myself to skip cutscenes, at least this far, because I just want to see if I don't know. I don't expect it to go anywhere, but I just want to see what he's trying to make happen. It's very weird.
All right. Well, I don't know. I was expecting either some grand revelation or, I think I was hoping it would be some grand revelation. I know you were excited about this. So yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
I don't think you have to be sorry. Because I'm still just I kind of just want to get back out there and deliver more packages. I want to rebuild the infrastructure. I'm having such a good time just trying to engage more with sort of the social features this time, where as you're playing, you're sort of I don't know how they actually connect players together, but you will encounter packages and structures that other people have either dropped or constructed. This is the same as in the first game, but basically it feels kind of this asynchronous co-op situation, where it's oh, somebody built a watchtower here, so now I can use it to check out the area over this hill, or spy on the enemy base and figure out where all the guards are positioned. Or there was this cool moment where I hooked this one settlement back into the network, and by doing that, this whole freeway system just materialized in front of me because other players had built that already. So now I could just drive my bike on it. I was oh yeah, that's cool. But that was exactly what happened in the first game. But still, I'm just trying to, be a little more involved. I'm trying to do little delivery quests for other players, or because you can drop a marker and be oh, I need weapons, or I need more supplies here. And other players, if they see that, they can just offload some of their extra cargo to try and help you out. So I try and do that. I try and, add more structures than I probably would normally build, just because I feel in a lot of the cases where I run into a random structure, I'm just very appreciative that somebody happened to build it. So I'm thinking okay, well, maybe if I build a little shelter or an energy generator or something right here where somebody could potentially need it, maybe that'll be helpful to somebody else. Who knows? So yeah, maybe I'm just approaching it slightly differently than the first game, but it does feel like a very familiar experience. Again, maybe all the crazy stuff happens like 50 hours in. Hopefully not that long. Hopefully it's like 15 or 20.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is the first one a very, very long game? I mean, that's one of those things you can kind of play forever, right?
I mean, I spent a very long time on it because I was building like zip lines, and I had an amazing zipline network by the end of it. But I feel like if you just stuck to the campaign, it wouldn't be too long. Maybe like 20 or 30 hours. And it's not a short game.
Yeah, certainly not.
But man, I feel like if you skip over all the infrastructure stuff, you're kind of missing the point. Have you ever played a game where you're just doing like jobs for people? This is another thing I thought about. Like, you've seen there have been a bunch of think pieces about how people are playing all these cozy games because, or like not necessarily cozy games, but stuff like Power Wash Simulator, or like all the sort of business management games.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, imagine if you were employed, or like, imagine if you ran a cafe, because you can't run an actual cafe, so just do it in this game instead. So it's like, well, I never worked for the post office or anything. Maybe I really enjoy just doing errands for people.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, it is very satisfying on some level. It's just like, oh, look at all the stuff I've accomplished. And meanwhile, I like just haven't gotten out from behind my monitor for 6 hours or however long.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the appeal of things like Power Wash Simulator and Tractor Simulator 2025 and there's the open road trucking one and there's stuff like that. Like, I don't quite understand the appeal and things like that. Like, I think I sort of understand the appeal of like trying on other jobs. But I don't know that I want things that are so detailed as to be kind of bland. Yeah.
I don't know if this is as bland as something like, I don't know. I mean, I was going to say Farming Simulator, and I don't mean to just like trash on that game because I'm sure people are really into that. And in fact, I don't even know if that's necessarily like bland, but it feels like more of a simulation than I would be interested in. But anyway, so I don't think Death Stranding is super like sim heavy. It's still very accessible.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I sort of like went immediately to Sims, and that's definitely a specific sort of like class of games that I don't think Death Stranding is trying to be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I bet you played a lot of that drug like delivery game in whichever Grand Theft Auto game, like the one on the DS that had like drug wars in it.
Oh yeah, tons of that. Yeah,
that was fun. I mean, that's basically what this is.
And that's one of those secret the secret best part of the game. Like, it wasn't necessarily, it's the mini game buried deep inside 15 menus in that turns out to be the kind of the fun part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like driving
Chinatown
the
Wars.
ambulance. Chinatown Wars. Or, any other side mode in like an open world game where you're just like, oh yeah, I ended up playing the business management game in Yakuza instead of doing the campaign.
Yeah. 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 There has to be some mechanic that feels satisfying and there are sort of like cozy games that don't quite get the appeal of like doing chores in Animal Crossing, where it's just that they give you a checklist of boring things to do that have you ping-ponging all over the island or the village or whatever it is. And I'm like, this, I think you think you're making an Animal Crossing game, but this isn't what it's supposed to feel like. Because there is something sort of fun about kind of the social aspect of it and getting to know your villagers and building your thing and et cetera, in Animal Crossing that I think a lot of other devs who have tried to make an Animal Crossing like experience don't quite comprehend or haven't figured out how to sort of replicate. So yeah, I think it's easy to make a game that has a bunch of chores in it and a bunch of side stuff. But to make that compelling is a whole other level, right? So it's cool that this works for you in Death Stranding. I don't know that I've found a recent game that sort of has that other thing that works for me. I definitely was obsessed with the shop management in the Yakuza game, Like a Dragon. And played a lot of that. But I think that's a game series that is known for its side distractions, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's just something about it. It's not necessarily just the fact that you're doing errands. It's like, oh man, if I just rebuilt this road, or if I just put like a little climbing rope here or whatever, it would make it so much easier to do more deliveries here. And then I could pick up all this other cargo. I can buy a bigger vehicle to transport more cargo at once. It's just like, I don't know. There are not a lot of games, not a lot of other games like this.
Interesting.
While playing this is the last thing I'll say because I want to hear about Ruffy on the Riverside. I spent a lot of like my middle school years playing this game that was essentially like space truckers, where you would like go to different planets and pick up cargo and passengers and take them to the other planets, and you would like upgrade your ship using the credits that you earn from these jobs. And it was just the same cycle essentially. It's like, okay, now I can just become a better transporter. And playing Death Stranding reminds me a little bit of doing that. I'm just like, oh man, maybe I miss my calling as like a delivery driver. I don't know.
Sorry, I'm looking at the full Death Stranding 2 cast and cameos list, and there's some interesting people in here.
I haven't even met everybody listed. There's like sort of a movie poster style. I guess it's just a poster for the game that has a bunch of characters on it that I haven't met. Cool. So I'm like, maybe once I've been introduced to everybody, it will make more sense. Or maybe they'll just be they'll all just be weird, like talking mannequins. Like the last character I met was just a mannequin with a face on it. I'm just like, okay, if that's what you're gonna do, then sure, but.
Is that Doll Man?
No, it's not. It's not even Doll Man. There's two characters. There's the doll and there's a mannequin that's in the same game.
Gotcha. Sorry, I seem still looking. I hope I'm not spoiling this for anybody or for you for that matter. But yeah, I see a screenshot of Doll Man and it's disarming.
Yeah, it's stupid. I mean, it's like, it's not out of place in a Kojima game. But even so, I'm just like, why? Why is like you really wanted to have a character who's just a little talking ventriloquist dummy or whatever? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool that he's into directors like George Miller's in here.
That's also stupid. Like whatever. Respect to George Miller, but why is he in this?
Yep. Oh, because what's his name, likes Mad Max movies.
I mean, yes, I know exactly why he's in this, but it's pointless.
Guillermo del Toro's back. Nicholas Winding Refn is in here, the director of Drive and Neon Demon, and Elle Fanning was in Neon Demon, and she's in this. So yeah, you could definitely tell it's sort of like him going through his phone.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, like, whatever, just the weirdness is fine, but the thing and like, if anything sort of puts me off about it, it's how so much of it just feels like he's doing it for sort of the clout of having these people in the game, where it's like, oh yeah, this character looks like Guillermo del Toro. Why? Oh, really? No reason.
Yeah. I mean, it's telling that it's all the directors are just lending their likeness. They're not actually doing the voice acting.
Yeah, that was the thing. So I played like half of the first one thinking that, somehow they got him to actually do all this dialogue. And it's just some other voice actor. They just wanted a character that looks like him.
They just scanned his face. Yeah.
Again, it's like, it just, I don't know. I get it. He loves Hollywood. He just wants to be making Hollywood movies and interacting with all these celebrities.
Yeah.
But it just makes his game it's so like immersion ruining if that's what he was going for.
Yeah. Anyway, so more of this to come. I'm sure you're probably plugging away at it. Yeah.
Next episode, the big ride and reveal will happen. It'll be a whole different game. Who knows?
This Troy Baker character looks like a lightning guy.
He does look a little bit like him. Yeah.
Yep. Riggs. Or Higgs. I closed the window now. Sorry.
Yes. No, that's probably the right call.
I need to navigate away from this page, or I'll just sit here reading all of it. So Ruffy and the Riverside. This was something that came out of one of the Wholesome Directs, I think, a while back, and I've kind of been tracking for a little while. Finally came out in the last couple of weeks. This is a really cool kind of like mini open world exploration puzzle game, kind of in the vein of a classic 3D kind of mascot platformer. It's got
look really cool.
Yeah, it's got very, very strong Banjo-Kazooie vibes. I think that's probably the easiest kind of analog. Looks a little bit like a Paper Mario game where everything is sort of flat. It's a 3D world, but like everything looks like paper cutouts essentially of characters and things in the environment. You're a little bear named Ruffy, who has the ability to copy textures from things and apply them to others, which is a weird and very specific ability. But you use this to like turn lava into water and turn rock into vines.
That's cool.
And these abilities allow you, when properly applied, to access other parts of the island, go on a bit of a Zelda mystery to, find the sacred gems, restore the letters in the word Riverside to bring balance back to your island oasis. And, this sounds like a video game, right? But yeah, sort of the texture replicating ability is sort of the fun puzzle in the game. When you copy a texture, you have a very limited amount of time to apply it somewhere else. So it's not like you can copy something from like your house and then run 20 minutes across the island and use that texture someplace else. You kind of have to find something in the kind of the more immediate environment that allows you to sort of solve the puzzle, copy it, remember it, apply it, and then move forward. So there is. Yeah, it's fun. There's this little challenge of you kind of being able to solve these little environmental puzzles kind of in the moment that you're in.
So it's not like Echoes of Wisdom where you just have your bag full of textures at your disposal.
No, nothing like that. No. Thank God. Right. This is certainly not as big a scale as Echoes of Wisdom either, but I think the time constraint of you being able to like copy and then use a texture within I forget how long it is. It's like 20 seconds or something like that. It's pretty quick. Definitely creates a little sense of urgency and allows you and encourage you to be sort of like resourceful and experimental. Let's try this, and see if some of these little like solutions that you can kind of cook up in the immediate environment are going to work. You'll find yourself like in a little clearing with a waterfall and, a rock face and a pool and stuff like that, and not a lot around you. And you're like, can I copy this? Can I copy this? Can I apply it here? Can I apply it here? And just trying to find fun little things that solve the puzzle. It's not a puzzle game per se, and it's not really a platformer in the Mario sense of the word platformer. It's really kind of exploration based. It almost has a little bit more in common with a Zelda, honestly, where you're like getting into secret places and finding caves, and a little Metroidvania where you're like, oh, I didn't know there was a door there, and I found a cool puzzle to get inside and things like that. So it's super satisfying in that way. Again, a bit of a mini open world. You kind of have this island available to you, and you kind of go everywhere. As you get more comfortable and more confident in your ability to copy and replicate textures, you can get to different places you couldn't get to before. The game does give you some tools for getting around the island super fast. You can find little round hay bales that you can sort of like log roll on, and you basically like hot rod around the island on them. In fact, as you're sort of like, log rolling a hay bale around to get from point A to point B super fast, other bears that live in the village will pull up next to you on their log roll and try to reach you and stuff like that. So fun little distractions in the game, cute characters. And just, a very kind of satisfying exploration and puzzle solving loop. Super cute aesthetic. It's fun. I've had a good time with it. It has been very satisfying.
It looks really cool. I was just looking at screenshots like before we started recording, and it's firmly in the sort of like N64 / like GameCube era platformers, like Banjo-Kazooie, like you were saying. I got a lot of sort of like Wind Waker vibes from it as well.
Oh, a little bit cell shading and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And it's also it's pretty unique that all the characters are like paper cutouts, which is cool. Yeah. So it doesn't really look exactly like any of those games, but it's sort of a mashup of maybe a few of them.
Yeah, you can definitely sort of feel the influences, but it doesn't immediately sort of like, what's the one from a couple of years ago? Ukulele. Playing ukulele, you're like, oh, this is a Banjo-Kazooie game.
Yeah.
And that's great. And it's both of those games, both the ukulele games are really fun. But playing Ruffy and the Riverside, it sort of looks like things that you remember, but it doesn't necessarily play like things that you remember. So it definitely is sort of like trying to like be evocative of games that you like and remember from your past, but is definitely doing kind of its own thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's super creative, and I don't know much about the developers or anything like that, but it's firmly in the cozy camp. There's minimal combat at best. A couple little enemies that sort of like roam the island and stuff like that that are easily avoidable, or you can use your texture replicating abilities to defeat them. There'll be a little pool with a shark in it who won't let you pass. But you could copy the texture from lava or fire to boil the water or to turn it into lava. And the shark, he doesn't die. He just sort of flops away.
Okay. I was like, you're not telling me you're going to boil the shark?
I don't think so. At least that's not how I've interpreted it.
Okay,
I think the shark survives. He just runs away. As much as sharks can run.
Right.
So yeah, it's cute. It's cozy, but it's not like a farming simulator or like you're not doing any crafting or anything like that. So it doesn't sort of have the trappings of the less creative side of a cozy game.
It doesn't have like 100 collectible coins in every area that you need to find.
No, there are some collectibles in it, but honestly, I feel like I can't think of what they do. I've played quite a few hours with this game. Costumes, maybe. I think you can unload, get little different hats and hoods and stuff like that for Ruffy. So they're kind of incidental to gameplay. I don't think there's any abilities tied to them or anything like that. It really just might be cosmetic. And it might be that there are collectibles in the game because you put collectibles in a game like this.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can ignore them if you choose to. They all replicate. Like if you collect the coins in a little island, then you go through a door to another section of the island and then go back. All of the coins are back. So they're not making it super like Mario, where it's sort of like there's 3 coins per level. You have to find all 3 of them. It's not like all. It definitely is not a game that you sort of obsess over like a Mario platformer. Yeah, it's cool. It's sort of low stakes, kind of fun, super satisfying. I've had a really good time playing it. And it's definitely sort of a nice counter to the insanity of Mario Kart right now for me. So when I feel like I want something a little lower stress and a little less, collectory, because I'm definitely sort of approaching Mario Kart like a collector in a lot of ways. Ruffy in the Riverside has been the fun thing that I've been playing for the last couple of weeks to scratch that itch.
Nice.
Yeah.
That just sounds kind of cool. I don't think of myself as being super into 3D platformers, but I'm also like not into collectibles, which I just assume most 3D platformers based on games in that era are about.
Yeah.
The way you were describing some of the puzzles reminded me a lot of Chicory, that game with the sort of coloring book aesthetic.
Oh, interesting. I've never played that. I know you like that.
Yeah, I think you'd be really into it. There's no combat or anything, and you just use the tools to sort of solve environmental puzzles, which sounded very similar to the way you were describing the puzzles in this. So I like the idea of like, at the core, it's a 3D platformer, but you are addressing like specific challenges in each area, and it's not necessarily like hardcore platforming or collecting 1 million coins and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And I would say it's not even like hardcore puzzle solving. Like there's not a lot of these, not a lot of these scenarios in the game where I'm like scratching my head and have to look up the solution on the internet. It definitely sort of jumps to you pretty quickly, but there's something satisfying about kind of copying it, replicating it, and using that as your kind of tool for being able to move forward. So I don't think it's trying to be it's not trying to be, what was that open world puzzle game? The Messenger?
The Witness.
The Witness, that's the one I'm thinking of. It's definitely not that. I think low stakes is the only thing I can kind of think of, and that could potentially be derisive. That's not how I mean it. I like that it's a little low stakes and doesn't feel super intense. Not every game has to be the blueprint.
Yes. Well, I mean, it feels like, sort of the level of puzzle you would encounter in a Zelda game, or maybe even a step down or two from that, because some of those can be pretty tricky. But
sure. Yeah. Oh, like in a Banjo-Kazooie where you're in a Ratchet and Clank or something like that. Sure.
Yeah. Do those games have a lot of puzzles in them?
No. Ratchet and Clank's more about combat. Maybe that's a bad example. Banjo-Kazooie, there's some puzzle solving in that. Yeah. And the Banjo-Kazooie aesthetic is very much you sort of like running around the island with your companion and like, what can I get into? What can I unlock? What can I collect? Can I get behind the waterfall? Is there a secret door there? So it's a lot of those fun little platformy, satisfying things.
Yeah.
Your little bear has a companion in this too, that flies alongside of you. So it definitely sort of like hits the notes that you want it to hit for a game like this, but definitely does something kind of more creative with the aesthetic, I think.
Oh, yeah, I'm still taken by the screenshots. It looks really cool.
Yeah. So this is fun. The music's really good too. Would recommend checking out the soundtrack for anybody who's interested. It's surprisingly kind of like funky and electronic for a game about a little bear solving puzzles. So yeah, cool. There's some interesting stuff going on under the hood of this thing. It's fun.
Cool.
Yeah. So this is called Ruffy and the Riverside. I know it's on Steam. I'm playing it on Switch.
Is it Switch 2 optimized?
I don't know how optimized it is. It's it didn't prompt me to download a patch to run on the Switch 2 or anything like that. So
I think you can play it on a Switch 1.
I presume so. Yes. Yeah. I think I'm playing the Switch 1 version on the Switch 2.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's on PlayStation or Xbox at this point yet. I've not checked that out, but definitely Steam and definitely Nintendo right now.
Cool.
But this is called Ruffy and the Riverside. If you're looking for something kind of fun and lightweight, this is a cute way to kill a few hours.
I wonder if I'll have like a 3D platforming phase. Because I think they just announced that they're adding Donkey Kong 64 to the N64 app.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
I never played, and by most accounts, it's not a good game. But I was like, I'm sort of curious. I'm also sort of curious about Banjo-Kazooie. More like, I don't expect I'll enjoy it, but I mean, like, this one sounds good. Maybe I'll just play this alongside those other games at some point.
Yeah, I think I'm always excited when those classic 3D platformers kind of get their re-releases. I was super excited about the Spyro ones because I have very fond memories of playing a ton of Spyro games on my college roommate's PS1 back in the day. And then when it came out, I was sort of like, oh, these aren't as good as I remember them being. Or they're harder than I remember them being, which is definitely a concern too. Yeah. Crash Bandicoot felt similarly, where I was sort of like, I used to really enjoy this, but I'm not having fun playing this right now. I think the Sly Cooper ones aged really well. I think the re-release of that was good. I think the Jak and Daxter games aged really well. So yeah, it's, definitely looking back on some of these through kind of nostalgia glasses in a lot of ways.
The Sly Cooper and Jak were both the PS2. They started on PS2, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Sly 1 actually was PS1, if I remember correctly, but I don't know exactly where those all landed in the PlayStation generations.
I feel like the PS1 generation could be a little more demanding on the player than the PS2 stuff.
Yeah, so maybe starting
it's also a little rougher around the edges.
Yeah, you can see that definitely in Spyro and in Sly Cooper. Like the first game in both of those series are a little tougher. And they're a little prettier and a little easier to get around in the second ones. Yeah. So again, cool that developers anyways, are sort of like doing something with kind of the aesthetic and the vibe of those games that feels a little more modern, a little more updated.
Yeah.
Cool. Want to wrap it up?
Oh, yeah, I think that's it.
Cool.
I gotta get back to building my freeways and that other thing.
We'll remind everybody that we are going to stream Peak, a co-op mountain climbing adventure game, Monday, July 14th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Go to twitch.tv/VGHangover, or you can always go to our Discord for an invite.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else should we talk about? If you need any more video game hangover in your brain, I was on the wrong part of the outline. It's not like we've never done this before.
Have we talked about Death Stranding yet? Should we do that?
I was going to hello and welcome to Video Game Hangover. If you need any more video game hangover in your brain, you should follow us on Blue Sky. We are VGHangover.com there, and you can always get show notes and links and tell us what you thought about this episode at VGHangover.com. We would love for you to join us on the aforementioned Discord. You can get a link to that at VGHangover.com as well. And we would encourage you, as always, to subscribe, rate, and review us on your podcasting app of choice. Maybe hook us up with a referral to your friends. Tell them about the show.
Yeah, we appreciate that a lot. Helps us bring in new listeners, grow the audience. It's always good.
Yeah.
I think we cut off the Death Stranding chat at exactly the right point, because I was just looking over my notes, and the rest of the stuff that we didn't talk about is just complaints I have about the story. So that's good. We don't need to air all that stuff.
Oh, no, I want to hear that.
Okay. Next time we'll do a deep dive on just how
bonus content. Just keep going. Keep recording.
Okay. Anyways, speaking of incredibly annoying Kojima characters, I want to give thanks again to RJ Lake for our intro and outro music this week. If you'd like to hear more of his work, you can go to spellmynamewithabang.bandcamp.com, download the whole thing. I don't think there are any Churches singles in there, but it's still very good and worth checking out.
Yeah. We'll be back Monday night with our stream of Peak, and then back in 2 weeks with a whole new episode in your feed. Until then, this is Randy Dickinson.
This is DJ Ross.
Thanks so much for listening to Video Game Hangover. Good night.
Good night. Goodbye.
Oh, farewell. You say good night. I say goodbye. You say good night. Goodbye.
What do they say in Australia? Good day.
See you around like a donut.
Is that what they say?
See you later, alligator. That would make sense. They have alligators or crocodiles in Australia? Probably alligators.
Crocodiles, right? Unless Crocodile Dundee has falsely informed me.
Wow. I'm going to need a do-over. I am a child of the 80s. I should have had that.